full show here at the Philadelphia Process home, and we're going strong. But hey, tell you what, let's introduce our good friend Greg Limser. I could have invited anybody I wanted here today. How you doing, my friend? Welcome back.
I'm doing well. How you doing today, Mike?
We're going to talk diamonds, and you know, to me, diamonds are the most confusing thing when you go to sell.
Yes.
Because you pay a lot for a diamond. I think diamonds are forever is a theme put out by the people who mine these things. They don't want you to know how much they're overcharging you, in my opinion, because when you go to sell it, you're usually not going to get that what you paid for.
Exactly. One of the best marketing that was for years. The diamond is forever. One of the best catchphrases. Everybody knows it, and you know that's tended to confuse people sometimes because when you're looking at what sells in the marketplace and retail jewelry stores across the country. And then over the past 10 years with the economy, with different situations, people are coming into my store all the time with diamonds or from estates, and they're asking for the value. And I was talking with Kyle, my partner, the other day. I said, we're getting good at giving bad news. Unfortunately, because we have to explain the steps, be thoughtful, but then sometimes we have to say it's not as valuable as you thought.
Welcome to my world of appraising furniture.
Yes, yes, it's a tough business.
Greg, what are the 4 C's of diamonds?
We got the carat, color, clarity, and then the cut. And I'm a graduate gemologist, so went to GIA Institute to study all these things. And those are the 4 C's, important factors you need to know for your diamonds.
Okay. Now, Chris, most people think, you know, a lot of women say, oh, I've got a 2-carat diamond.
Right.
I've got a 1.5-carat diamond.
Yeah.
The carat's important, but it's not all that important if the other C's aren't up to date. Let's talk about the weight of a diamond.
Exactly.
1 carat and up is generally considered pretty good.
Correct. Yep. That's a size that most people think of. They come in. I sell engagement rings, so the 1 carat's kind of a benchmark that people like to say, hey, I got a carat diamond.
How about if you have a ring that has maybe 10 chips that total 1 carat?
That's a little bit different. You know, that single large diamond's generally going to have a little bit more value than a bunch of little diamonds across the ring. Correct.
So, is there a big difference between 0.8 of a carat and 1 carat in price?
Yes, significant. So, a lot of people see that combination of the diamonds. I have 2 carat total weight. People call us all the time, and I always say, what total weight? You know, clarify that because yes, a single larger diamond is going to give much more value than a bunch of little ones together that come up with that same carat weight.
And usually, when you go with the chips on a ring,
right?
Usually these places are only going to pay you for the gold. They're not going to pay you for the chips because the chips have a whole lot of value. Okay, so first C is carat.
Yep.
C-A-R-A-T.
Correct.
And that's the weight. Then we have the color. What does that mean, Greg?
Color basically, you know, I see you have your chart up here. Diamonds go from basically white and colorless all the way to yellow and brown, and they come in other colors as well that are called fancy. That's a whole different category, but you know, I kind of talk to guys when they're buying an engagement ring. We want something that's white and sparkly. That's kind of basically the way I like to make it simple for them. And but as diamonds come in the store, we see that get into a yellow or a brown, and once you hit that mark, they're almost drill bits. Industrial quality diamonds that truly almost have no value, either if I have to go buy them or when you're selling them.
So you got to be careful when you're going out to buy a diamond. You might give you a carat and a half, but if it's got the wrong color in there, it's not going to have a whole lot of value.
That's exactly
real important.
Yep, knowing where you buy your things and what they're selling you.
Okay, you got the carat, you got the color. How about clarity? What does that mean?
Clarity deals with imperfections in a diamond. A diamond is formed 125 miles in the earth, and its temperature and pressure, impurities get in there, and the most common thing is the carbon spot. You know, people talk about that black spot that's inside the diamond. They're not on the surface, but they're actually internal, and there's clarity, and there's different grades, and that determines a lot with the value.
So anybody who's selling a diamond, I'm going to warn you right now, I don't care what jewelry you go into, they're going to tell you your diamond has a fault. Oh, no, I can't pay that much because this has got a fault. Well, guess what? Every diamond has a fault. There might be 1 or 2. Those were owned by the King of Sheba or Elizabeth Taylor or something like that.
Yep.
But every diamond has a fault, so expect that. But the degree of fault is where it is. What's a cloud?
A cloud is just a type of imperfection. A cloud, there's also called a feather inclusion. Basically, when you look at a diamond, it almost looks like a feather, the way the crystal structure is, and those are imperfections. And the feather, the cloud, a knot, those are some of the main terms that you may hear if you're out shopping or if you're trying to sell a diamond from a gemologist.
All right, I got this gem out of from the GIA, from Greg. Okay, and it says here that it takes about 1 ton of rock to recover less than half of a carat of diamond, making it the rarest and most desired gemstone. Think about that.
Wow.
In order to get that half-carat diamond, you got to go through almost a ton of rock to find it.
It's an expensive process to mine it out of the ground. I mean, we all watch Gold Rush. We see what they do, tractors digging all over the world, and yeah, it takes a lot to get a little bit.
Okay, we're talking diamonds here today. And we're talking about the Four C's of diamonds. You have the carat, which is the weight. Important, but not the only important factor. You got color, very important. If it's clear, bright, visually attractive, it's going to bring more money than something that's got a yellow or brownish tint. You got the clarity. Every diamond has a fault. Everything's going to have something wrong with it, but some diamonds have bigger faults than others. The bigger the fault, the less the value. And the last one is, we're going to kind of follow up with one of your earlier questions about the changing taste and all, and that has to do with the cut. Greg, what do you explain the cut?
I mean, the cut's very important in a number of different ways. The most thing is the shape of it. I was just saying that the popular stone back in the 70s and 80s, a pear shape, a marquee that looks like a football. And now the cut is the round diamond. Probably 95% of what we sell is a round diamond. So when people bring them in to sell them, figuring out value, the round has significant more value with all the other factors combined than almost any other cut that's out there today.
I mean, can you mess up a diamond though? Like if you cut it to be a shape that it really it shouldn't be?
Sure. It's just like any industry out there. There's people that are good, there's people that are bad, and diamonds, there's no different like this industry. So you can have very poor cut diamonds, so that it retains a 1 carat benchmark, they can charge more. So yeah, it's just like any other business. There's good mechanics, bad mechanics. There's good diamond cutters, there's bad diamond cutters.
I read my research that one time there was a guy, he had like a fairly large diamond, and he was the best diamond cutter in the world. And he spent a year looking at that, living with that, touching it, feeling it, researching it before he cut it, because he was afraid you cut it the wrong way, it's going to split along the fault.
Right, exactly.
So that's real important.
Map it out.
But right now, Greg, what is the hot cut?
The cut is probably the round, and then there's also the radiant, and then the princess cut, which is square. But the round by far has been the most popular, and it goes back to what I said earlier. Basically something that's white and sparkly, like to have on their finger for engagement rings. And then on the resale value, you and I deal with a lot of estates. When a round diamond comes in, we know we're going to be able to offer a good bit more than the other cuts that are out there.
I mean, gold is an easy commodity, Chris, because you kind of weigh the gold and you times it by the current selling price of gold. Gold is up and down like that. But then you can melt the gold and you can flip that right away.
Right.
Gold places, jewelry stores, they usually, if they buy gold and silver, they flip it within 3 or 4 days to take advantage of the market fluctuations.
Exactly. Yep.
With a diamond, you can't melt it. You've got to sit there and sell it. And so if you come into a Doylestown Gold Exchange with a marquee-shaped diamond, if he doesn't think he can sell it for a while, he can't pay you as much as for something you can sell fairly quickly. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
No, I've taught you well, my young son.
Padawan.
Basically with that, there's so many different factors about the diamonds, but yeah, the cuts are very important, and that's why at Doylestown Gold Exchange, before I even get offers, and I know you do it as well, we have to educate, so that when we do have to say the value is not there or is there, that way they're expecting it, they understand where we're coming up with it, because we're in the marketplace. You can't melt a diamond, and with the economic conditions, Jenna, the millennials today aren't getting married like they used to. So the market, economic times, those diamonds come in. I see 4 to 5 diamonds a day coming in, and I'm not selling that many engagement rings, so they come in, and the marketplace has changed so much in the past 20 years, and it's our job to educate people first, and then bring them the best value we can.
Okay, so you've got the cut, color, clarity, carat. Those are all important at the value of a diamond. But just because you have those 4 things, there's another real important thing, and that's the person you're selling it to. Because there's no guideline out there where each jeweler, each buy gold place, does not pay you the same amount.
No.
You know what they do? They come in the door and they look you in the eye, tell me what you have, man, and what do you think it's worth? And they play a game with you. And the less you know, the more they will take advantage of you. And I had one instance, it wasn't a diamond, but it was silver. And I was able to get my client $9,100 for the silver. When I gave her that check, she cried. And she said, I was offered $1,500 for the same stuff in the city. So that's how wide these fluctuations. So you need someone who you can trust who's going to give you a fair value. Would you want to deal with a jeweler who said they don't make any profit?
No.
They're liars.
Everybody's here to make money. I have a family to support, and I know you do as well. And you just have to be honest with them. But yeah, I see it all the time. They're like, oh, the jeweler told me it was $5,000. I'm like, did he make you an offer? He's like, well, no, but he said it's worth that. So if I have to say it's $1,500 or $2,000, I'm like, well, I'm going to give you the actual cash for that. But we have people. I just had someone the other day, same thing. Drove an hour and a half to our store. We have people coming from 2 hours away. because a reputation and being honest is just extremely important. When you're selling a diamond for an engagement ring, you want to make sure they're paying because they're putting a lot of money out. On the other hand, when they come in, we have to be honest. When we tell them, sometimes I tell them exactly what I'm going to make, because I have to be honest. Listen, I have to make $100 on this if I'm giving you $1,500.
Yeah.
So we have to be honest and let them know.
So the key, and from my perspective, the best key person to deal with someone who's willing to make a fair profit.
Fair profit.
And you have to be willing to let them make a fair profit off you, because they've got to do all the work, tie up their money, and
Yep.
I'm sure that you have some deals where you don't make money.
Yes, and I just sent a check to a lady that she sold it. I sent her a check for $150 more. I put it in the mail yesterday. Last week I bought a diamond and I lost $200. I didn't call them for that money back. That was my mistake. I took it. So yeah, it's just trying to be honest in business, and that's what we do at the Doylestown Gold Exchange. We're family owned and operated. My brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and just treat people right, and they seem to keep coming back.
Okay, one last part of this segment. Person comes into you and says, and shows you the paperwork. I have this ring. The appraiser told me it was worth $10,000. I have it insured for $10,000. What do you mean you're not giving me $10,000?
Right, yep, all the time.
People don't understand that there's a difference in values. There's a huge difference between insurance value versus fair market value versus liquidation value. What can you flip it for today?
Yeah, exactly. And we deal with a lot of attorneys that come from estates. People are downsizing. They're trying to pass on to their heirs, and they want to know the value. They come in with paperwork from 20 years ago. And again, insurance replacement is different than the liquid value. You know it as I do. It's what someone's willing to pay for it.
Yep.
And you know, we see estates. People come in with the jewelry box from their grandmother, or you know, they're trying to sell it, and you have to go through it, explain it, and tell them why and how you're coming up with that price. And if you do that, usually they'll be happy, but you never know.
Just before we move on, you talked about gold and how you kind of can know what its value is. Are there metrics for diamonds as far as something on Wall Street or companies that mine diamonds that people can look at for like a commodity value?
No, it's really bringing it in. We're up in New York twice a week on 47th Street shopping diamonds with wholesalers that are worldwide. It's really market-based. Like I said, I have 5 or 6 coming in every day. Kids aren't coming in buying engagement rings. They're not getting married. They're living together. They're not raising families. So that whole structure of the diamond is forever it's a whole different marketplace. And really it's what someone's willing to pay for it that day. And it fluctuates every day we go and shop these things.
Wow.
And a lot depends on the situation. If the jeweler has 10 round diamonds in stock, he's not going to pay as much for that 11th diamond if it's going to sit there. Whereas if he just sold or she sold her last one, they'll pay a little bit more to get something in inventory.